Our grandpa used to have at least one workhorse stud and a thoroughbred stud that they raised horses out of and crossbred the workhorses to the thoroughbred. And
that's what they rode.
That's what they rode a lot of the time. But he sold an awful lot of heavy horses. He had lots of them because they farmed with them and hayed with them and stuff, so they were well built for teams. Everybody needed a team. That was their tractor in those days. And then during the war, they sold a lot of horses, to the army. And that a lot of people in the West Country raised horses and sold them to the army.
Horses were back on the forestry before the cattle were. A lot of those guys ran big bunches of horses back there, and then they'd run them in the spring, and they branded them. Like, there was quite a few different outfits that ran together back there, and then they'd run them in, and everybody, collect their brand out of those horses and brand the colts, on the mares and carry on. They sold a lot in the First World War. A lot of the cavalry horses from Canada came out of that country.
On Bob's Creek and Spring Creek and all those areas and back on the Old Man and stuff.
And that'd be because the horses...
They were good money in those days, yeah. Better in raising cows. Well, one time my mom and I drove up on the hill in the bar rest, and they'd just run the horses in. It had been out on range all winter, and they were just ran them in to get them so they could hook them up and start farming. And there were 60 teams. There was 120 head of big black Clyde horses. He raised Clyde horses in the corral. That's besides all the horses, all the teams he had to do all the feeding and chores in the wintertime. And there was always teams of horses around.
I mean, when that's your life, that's what you would know which were the good horses. And I'm sure when they first started those younger teams, they'd have hooked one of the less experienced horses with one of their really good horses until they got going good, and then they'd have probably matched them up and the way they'd have gone.
Well, that's the way you broke a team in those days. Was when you hooked a young horse up, you hooked him up with a horse that you could drive, do what you wanted him to. So if you got to going a little too fast, you could turn him and do a big circle, do some circles till colt got kind of wore out a little bit and settled down and stuff. You didn't want to go in a straight line. You got going too fast that way. When I first got out of school, I spent all winter driving a team feeding, but we still fed with a team. And I got fork bundles and when we were threshing, but that was hard work. That wasn't really the funnest thing I ever did. All our grandkids are rodeoers now, so they like roping and riding and barrel racing and breakaway roping and calf roping,
team roping
stuff, and team roping. That's what they do at the rodeos. So it's a little bit of a similar thing and lots of practice. And it's also training horses. We also have a few horses that we raise and sell as well, and Monica and Blake and Stran look after that. So
we raise these horses, and it works really good for us for the ranch operation. We use the young horses. Well, we use all of the horses that we raise to run the cattle operation, to chase the cattle around all day, all year.
old. Kids used to rodeo on him all the time.
What's his name?
Boots.
Oh.
He's got to be at least 30.
He was that last one to come in.
Yeah. We couldn't keep up. They're not the same, are they?
How long have you been riding him?
This horse?
Yeah.
Just last year.
Is it one that Stran and Blake started?
Stran and Blake started. Well, both of these. Reedy's been riding this mare for a few years.
So Mac, the corral you're going to use is the one right up against the road, huh?
Yeah.
When did you build the corral?
Last night.
Oh.
Yeah, that's just for the bridle.
Yeah, those panels are great things.
You can pick a different spot every year, huh?
Oh yeah, just wherever you need. We got well, you could see the trailer sitting there that we put them on.
Did you heel off this one?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Stran, can you explain how these things work?
So roper will drag the calf in, Guy will set the North Fork over their head and then drag them till it's tight, and then holds them down so you can brand and vaccinate and whatever else needs done.
So the horse does all the holding. The horse does all the holding.
Yeah.
When you're using those Nord Forks, you got to have lots of ropers too, because it requires lots. So.
Everybody likes to heel, and it looked like everybody took a turn.
Yeah, I try to give everybody a turn. If anybody that wants to rope, I try to give them a turn.
Because in a way, Justin, your horse is doing the work there instead of two
Well,
horses.
that's kind of my philosophy behind it. And if you're, I mean, most of the time it's not an issue, but sometimes when you're vaccinating or dehorning and stuff, and you're wrestling them, and there's somebody on the front end, they're kind of in your way, or you're waiting for them, you know. Whereas with the Nord Fork, you have access to the neck everywhere, right? So. In the head, so you have. It seems to me like you just have more control of them, especially dehorning. It's way easier.
Probably easier on the calves too, huh?
Well, I think so, because you're not you know, kind of stressing them in directions they don't really want to be stressed. It's very seldomly when we're doing that many do we not screw up one of the D's or the P's or something, and I think we ended up getting them all right today, so that's good. And those few bull calves that had horns that we forgot to do the other day, we got them done, so yeah, it was really good. Good crew.
We couldn't do what we do every day without them. I mean, from checking cows when we're calving to weaning to everything in between. I mean, we're on horses every day. We start all of our own horses, Dad and I, for the ranch, and then yeah, they go on to whether they're just ranch horses or end up going to the rodeo arena.
So Stran, you're picking up now, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So I've got all of Wayne Bowles rodeos, basically the same ones that Dad did. Yeah, it's pretty good for your horses. That you know if you got a good one or not, if you can do it on.
How many horses do you need?
I got 6 right now that I can do it on, but I usually just take 5. The bull riding is probably honestly the easiest part of it. You don't ever have to get the rider off, and most of the bulls that we have to deal with have been to lots of places, so they look for the out gate and leave. You just have to do a lot more in the bronc riding and the bareback riding. Tripping flanks on horses and getting guys off, and yeah, just a lot more moving parts in the bareback riding and bronc riding than there is in the bull riding. We mostly sell ranch horses. We do sell some team roping horses and barrel horses and stuff, but mostly just ranch horses. Yeah, it's a good little income when you're starting them and training them for yourselves and for other people, and we've got a bit of a clientele built up, I guess, now, so people know that we have some for sale. And
So, and Stran goes over and ropes all the time on them, so,
Takes a bunch of
you know,
horses.
it's just a little different thing, and gets them so that you can sell them for a rope horse or whatever, and they're very well broken and trained that way.
we're not having to burn near as much fuel because we're riding our horses. You're not tearing up the ground if it's muddy or whatever with your quad or side by side. Yeah, you leave four hoof prints. That's it. So yeah, they're pretty ecologically friendly, I guess.
You have to be careful, and you have to get along with nature, and if you don't, you're just going to perish.
And look around us. Why have we got this pristine eastern slopes? Mm-hmm. Would any other industry in the world still have this kind of a pristine environment?
Sure as hell not coal mining, I'll tell you that.